bourbon-y. It seems like a rye bourbon as opposed to a wheat bourbon, but get this, it's both. It's
What?
4 grain, baby.
Welcome once again to Chill Filter, the podcast where we drink whiskey, so you don't have to, but you probably should. You probably are. Gosh darn it, that's why we like you. On this week's episode, we're drinking a whiskey. I can't remember the name off the top of my head without butchering it, but Cole will tell you more about that later. But before we get to anything else, hit us up on Instagram. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know what's up with you. You know what's up with us. We need to know what's up with you. We're down for chit chats of whiskey, pop culture, families,
punk rock.
That's
puppies.
A lot of other stuff. Puppies, cooking. We like to talk about cooking. Lots of things. So let us know. You know us. We want to know you. Reach out and touch us. Other than that, if you want to support the show monetarily, hit us up on patreon.com/chillfiltered. That's about it. Cole, I told you come home a winner or don't come home at all, yet here you are.
This is my last episode, guys. No.
How you doing, bud?
Let's talk about that because, this week at first, by this point, most people know that I got second place in Matt Madness last week to
by 1 point.
David from shelfturd/thewhiskeychannel.com.
1 point.
Yeah, by 1 point. And it was a very high scoring game. Mm-hmm. And if you don't consider the multiplier, I lost by 1 point. I was second runner up or whatever. But I only lost from the lead by 2 points. And it was like pretty high scoring. And at first I was like bummed. And I was like, this was so much fun. It's sad to see it go. But the more the week went on, the more I was like really proud of myself.
Yeah.
And really, I held my own against last year's winner and David and the new winner. And I wasn't left in the dust. I was neck and neck with these guys the whole time. And so I was really proud of myself. And because in the first two, rounds, I was basically like, this could be a fluke. I could just be getting very, very lucky. But by the third round, even though I lost, I was like, this isn't a fluke. I'm actually good at this. So, that made me pretty happy. But I'm bummed I don't get to continue on because it's been so much fun doing this with Matt Madness. But I hope I can be invited back next year at the very least.
I hope so too.
Give it the old try again. And maybe I'll be stronger by then.
I want to be invited back next year too. And I want to be there for a long time, not just a fun time next time.
Yeah. You got to listen next time to the
if honestly, if I wasn't going head to head with you, I probably would have cared a lot more and actually tried a lot harder. But I was like, you know what? Good chance Cole goes on. So I can't remember. Did you miss a point though on the Fireball proof one because you said 33?
Yes. If I had said it was the standard Fireball, I would have won.
Yeah. Shoot.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I couldn't remember.
But everything came down to if I only did this or that. There was only one thing that I was really struggling figuring out. And it was sample D. He said, is this first of all, what's the secondary grain? Second of all, what is is it a finished whiskey?
Mm-hmm.
And I got both wrong. It is not finished. And I said wheat as a secondary. It turned out it was malted barley. But if I was between wheat and rye, and I was pretty darn sure it was finished, and any of those were wrong. Every one of those was wrong. So, so there was a few times where I was like, man, if only it really came down to saying it was standard Fireball or not, and then taking the lead with that. But I remember trying it, and I was like, I can barely taste any alcohol. And when I tried the sample that Ben Klepsig sent, I was like, I could taste a tiny bit of alcohol, and this is the standard. This is the 66 proofer. Either way, I was close. But I'm not gonna dwell on that and be like, oh man, I'm not that kind of guy. I just move on. And I'm glad that I came to a point where I was like, dude, I held my own, and that was awesome. But if I had if I got a score of 13 or something like that, I would have been like, okay, it was a fluke. Maybe a fluke.
Isn't that what I got? You trying to say something?
No, you got a 7.
I got 7. I had a good time. No, man, I think the other cool thing is you also made it entertaining. You and Dave kind of
Good.
carried the show, man.
That's
And
good.
kind of cool. He reached out to us, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you know what? We would love to have you on
Yeah, it'd be
sometime." And he
fun.
said, "Sometime this summer." So hopefully we'll get them on
Yeah.
here because he's a fun dude. That's
Yeah.
the thing is,
He's one fun guy.
I don't consume a lot of uh, whiskey. I do that, but a lot of whiskey like YouTube
Creator stuff.
and
Yeah.
podcast stuff. And I just had never watched him. I'm like, I like this guy, so I said he's a fun
Mhm.
one to watch. So I like that.
Yeah.
Other
The
than Matt
final
Madness,
song was like
oh my
fantastic.
gosh, yeah, it was great. Other than Matt
I'm
Madness,
proud to be a part of that round
yeah, it was
with
fun
that
having you.
song.
That song was one of his best ever, and
Oh, seriously.
your name's in it. You're in it.
Hmm.
So other than Matt Madness, so how you doing, bud? How's life?
Yeah, been good. Yeah, saw the Yeah Yeah Yeahs on Wednesday, which was awesome. And so what I loved, what I really enjoyed was they played. I mean, I really know all of their discography,
Oh, you
but they
bragging now?
played great songs. They played a few deep cuts. They played, and I knew every word. Like not every word, but like I knew every song.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always fun to go to a concert where you know every song.
True.
And no matter what they play, you're gonna sing along a little bit, or just enjoy every moment.
See, that's
And
the thing.
so,
Like, I
uh,
love going to see the National, but
mhm.
there's
They got a
newest.
huge set of
They
albums.
do, but
Mhm.
whenever they release a new album, I'm usually like, it's hard for me to get into their album. When I see you play it live, then I'm
Mhm.
like, afterwards, I'm like, okay, I get it now. I like this album more.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, no, it is a lot more fun when like every song is a song you're aware of and you know.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
always a good time. So yeah, I had a blast. I went up by myself. It was up in DC, so I drove up, took a half day in the afternoon on Wednesday, and took a half day in the morning on Thursday. And I
now hold
spent the
on a
night at an
sec.
Airbnb up there. So
That adds up to a full day.
it's a full day. Yep, it adds up.
Full day.
And yeah, it was good. I also one of the things that affected me the most with that was I missed my daughter, and I missed my wife, of course, but like I really missed Beck while I was away. And when
Yeah.
I got home, so last night, sadly, I got home after she went to bed last night. Um, but when I got home, I like woke her up and just held her for like a few minutes, and
Yeah.
just like she was asleep on my shoulder, but I just missed her, and she's so sweet. So after this, I'm looking forward to hanging out with her and having a good weekend with her because we're recording on a Friday after work. So
It's
hey,
Friday.
also I found some matching Waterford glasses that were
Boy.
like stupid cheap for Waterford. I got a set of 4. They were used. I mean, they're like vintage. Set of 4 for $90.
Not
That's
bad.
a deal. I bought one of these for $65 one time because I wanted to match the one that I broke, or match it to the one that didn't break rather. Um, so yeah,
$90 on a broken Waterford just so the two
yeah,
brokens
exactly.
would match.
I need this one to match the one that's broken exactly. So one other thing I was thinking about Madness was it was cool that and like I said, I was holding my own. That me and Cam both had a bottle guess that was pretty much exactly the same. And I was like, okay,
You
I'm
got
holding
it.
my own here. Like I'm
Yeah,
like
you
keeping
go.
up with the champs here because we both said Elijah Craig barrel proof on sample C,
Yeah.
and I think we both said Heaven Hill as well, and but neither were right, so it doesn't really matter. But either way, I was like, okay, the champ
And
says that.
Cam
I
takes
also
and
said that.
he was the returning champ and he
Yeah.
takes it really seriously.
No, he does. Yeah.
Like compared to his regular videos, it's like he doesn't show up personality wise on Matt Madness because
Yeah.
he's like in it. He's in
Oh,
his
nice. Yeah,
head.
yeah. He's in it to win it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. So, and then I feel like there was one other thing this week that I wanted to even just talk about.
You missed me.
Uh, yeah, I totally missed you. Missed
Yeah.
you so hard, so stinking hard. Yeah, but like I was telling, who was I talking to? My old buddy from college at University of Wisconsin. I ran into while I was in DC area. Not ran into, like we planned to have drinks together. And he was like, how's the podcast going? I'm like, still going after all these years. And it's just weekly therapy, and
Yep.
it's just what it is. It's just enjoyable and no time to slow down because we're just having too much fun. So yeah, that's how
It
I'm
is
doing.
fun.
I'll think of what else
is
I was
fun.
thinking of later, but
Yeah.
how are you doing?
But that wasn't it. I figured you got it there.
Nah,
I'm good. I'm a
something
little
else.
stressed today.
Oh, yeah?
I gotta run to Amara's track meet after this. And
That's right.
I love watching her compete, but I hate going to track meets because
Everything
especially in
else,
middle
yeah.
school, it's like there's hundreds of kids and you
Yeah,
gotta wait forever to watch your one kid do something for 20
totally.
seconds. And like
Mhm.
today, like it's been like we hit 90 2 days in a row last week, and it was
Goodness.
sunny and nice, and we were 80s and 70s. And
Mhm.
today it's like 55 and it
Aye.
looks like it's gonna pour. I'm like, I don't want to sit
Yeah.
up, but anyway, so gotta do that. And then like this weekend, Saturday's kind of busy. We're my nephew Declan's having his birthday party, which should be pretty
Nice.
fun. The girls will have a good time. And then we're having some friends over, and it's one of those things like we'll probably be in the backyard, but my backyard's a mess right now because we had a windstorm. The dogs are pooping all over the place. So I just I feel like I got to get stuff done, but I can't. I don't feel like I got the time right now.
Yeah.
You know
Are
that
you
is.
gonna smoke something this weekend?
I think I'm gonna just do a tri-tip, some chimichurri.
Nice. Chimichurris. I think I'm gonna make shout out to Madison, Wisconsin, where Stella's Bakery is, where they make spicy cheese bread. And I think I'm gonna make my own version, a copycat recipe of that this weekend, and that's what I'm really looking forward to is like a cheese bread.
Cheese bread. I like cheese bread. I make a pretty good cheese bread.
It's like terrible too. Like you could like tear it. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's not terrible, but it's terrible.
Man, kind of feel flat right now, Cole.
Flat. Maybe we should drink.
Maybe we should. Should we move along? I don't know. That's not our usual.
Moving along. No, let's do it.
Okay.
We'll think of more
we
things as we go. Can't fake that funk. Now, if we think of things, we won't hold back. That's for sure.
We never do.
Let's go for
Chill
a quick
filter.
walk break.
No holds bars.
No holds barred at all. So hard. No holds barred. So hard. Anyway. Yep, we're gonna go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about J. Henry Distillery and the Flamme Reserve. So here we go. And we're back.
Hey!
Some hot Jack Daniel's barrel proof barrels.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
Woo!
And really quick, some notes to get to. First of all, thanks to all the people that cheered for me. And even you, Robbie, thank you so much. And all the thank yous to the people that hit me up after Matt Madness and consoled me and said I did a great job. I really appreciate both. You know who you are, all ballers. So really another baller shout out. What's that?
I didn't ding because I was one of those ballers. Thanks for the ding.
You deserve to soak in the baller salute. And another baller salute.
Soaking the balls.
To Ben Klebsig for sending us what we're drinking today, the Flamme Reserve from J. Henry. Caleb Olson also sent us something, the Patton Road, which is we'll get to that in a little bit. But we'll have to drink that one day too. So yeah, we're drinking today J. Henry Flamme Reserve Straight Bourbon. This is definitely our first J. Henry product on the podcast, and I'm happy to finally try this because I feel like we've had it for a while, and the roots of this podcast are in the state of Wisconsin. And it's funny. It's fun to try another, Wisconsin whiskey.
It's funny too.
Yeah, totally. And so let's get into some of the background of J. Henry Distillery. So cool story here and really cool distillery. I really support what they're doing here, and I'll get to all that in a moment. So this is a true farm to bottle distillery. As far as I know, they don't source and never have ever. And they are very proud of their grain, which they farm themselves. Joe and Liz Henry run the J. Henry and Sons Distillery out of Dane, Wisconsin, just about 20 miles north of Madison. Go Badgers.
No
Go
Badgers.
And the farm they use has been in the family for decades, and it's gone through its ups and downs. But one thing they really stick to is the specific variety of corn. This variety was developed by the ag school at University of Wisconsin in the 1930s. An heirloom red corn that is known to have more starch and a larger germ in the grain. And they've grown that corn since, as a family and a farm, they've grown that corn since the 1940s, but have only recently started using it to make their whiskey. And I think I looked this up, but I think the case was they started the distillery in 2013. I might be wrong on that. For some reason, I left it blank because I wasn't sure about it, and then I forgot to get back to it. So a research error. People be like, so many inaccuracies.
Here comes my meandering.
Yeah, exactly. So they originally were using their old dairy barn to age their whiskey in the barrels, but they continued to make new rick houses in that same style in order to expose the barrels to the Wisconsin weather. It gets hot and humid in the summer, and with all those lakes and all that, summer heat. But it gets stupid cold in the winters, as I've learned. And this can really put some good character into the flavor of any whiskey when you get hot summers and cold winters. They're known to use a 4-grain bourbon mash, 65% red heirloom corn, 14% heirloom glacier winter wheat, and 14% heirloom Spooner rye, and 7% malted barley. Also known to season their staves for a minimum of 2 years and use a level 3 char for all their products. And every product of theirs has a minimum of 5 years of aging in full-size barrels, which is super impressive for a small distillery that's making their own stuff. So there is, I'll back up for a second. There is an asterisk by that when I say they're making all their own stuff. The truth is they're still doing amazing things, but the grain is theirs, the aging is theirs, the product is, in my opinion, truly theirs. But I have to be transparent that the distilling is not 100% theirs. Yes, they're providing the grain, but outside of, they don't provide the barley, the 7% of malted barley in their bourbon mash bill. They source for that, which is fine. Most people do. Pretty much every distillery in the U.S. does. But the 49th or the 45th parallel distillery in New Richmond, Wisconsin, they are the ones to ferment and distill the grain that J. Henry Farms sends them. But this is, in my opinion, that's not sourcing. That's just getting someone to really quick distill your stuff and ferment your stuff because they have the stuff. It's not like MGP where you just say, hey, you've already made that. I'll buy it off of you. So I think it's not, it might be technically not distilling, but I don't think that would make them like a non-distilling producer in some sort of way. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Some of their products are their small batch 92 proof, which is at least 5 years old, blended in batches. Wait, did I say at least 5 years old?
I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, at least 5 years old, blended from batches no larger than 20 barrels. And there's the Patent Road Reserve, which was sent to us by Caleb Olson, which we'll get to in a later episode, where that's the cast strength single barrel bottling, which is pretty cool and impressive. They've also have the Bellefontaine Reserve, which is a cognac finished bourbon. And it's pretty cool. I looked into this and I'm pretty sure I figured out what they're doing based on the descriptions. But maybe someone will correct me later. But this is what I got from looking into the history of the Bellefontaine Reserve. They take a few barrels and finish those barrels of bourbon and finish that bourbon in cognac barrels for 8 months. But they also take some other barrels, water it down to lower than 30%, lower than 60 proof. And then they age that watered down bourbon for at least 3 years. And then they try to get it to about 30% alcohol by volume in that barrel. So it's aged, watered down bourbon. but it's not bourbon because it's underproofed. But then they use that underproofed bourbon to proof the other bourbon that's been finished in or not Armagnac, cognac barrels. And they use they don't just cut it with water like most people do. They cut it with a lower proof whiskey, which I thought was kind of cool. It's apparently a French method for proofing cognac. So I thought that was super cool.
That sounds familiar. Did we talk about a cognac like that before?
No, we've talked about Solera aging, which is like sherry.
Okay.
Where you
leave a little bit.
Yeah, keep a little bit, move a little bit on. Yeah, that's Solera aging. Anyway, what we're drinking today
that's why you did well at Matt Madness. You just remember things.
But I thought about this recently. You remembered something. Like last week, you were talking about. It wasn't like super. It was whiskey related, but there was something you remembered last time that I was like, oh, I don't even remember that, but I sort of do now that you bring it up. So you remember things too. I just can't remember what you remembered. So yeah, what we're drinking today, J. Henry La Flamme Reserve Straight Bourbon. So first of all, it's barreled at least 5 years in new charred oak, full-size barrels. And then the finish is in Armagnac casks from France. It's named La Flamme because in the Armagnac region of France, there's a celebration called La Flamme de l'Armagnac. L'Armagnac. I don't know. That's where you elide the L. Which is basically a celebration of the end of the grape harvest and the beginning of the distilling season for Armagnac. And Armagnac, for those who don't know, is a type of brandy that can only be made in the Armagnac region of France. And it is a 4-grain bourbon mash bill that I mentioned earlier. All grains besides the malted barley were grown on the Henry farm. Proof is it's at cask strength, and it's 115.14, which is apparently, I did the math, I was like 57.57%. Retail is $90. This is batch 1 from October of 2021. And I'm not sure they've ever made a batch 2 since. So maybe it's amazing. Maybe they're working on it. But that was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
You just reading about it in that process. I was getting kind of confused as you were reading it. So they might have gotten confused about how they did it.
Yeah.
This is too confusing.
Yeah. You proof it down with lower proof whiskey, not water.
Then you
proof down the whiskey.
Now I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So $90 retail. Let's get into what we're drinking, and one more baller salute to Ben Klepsig.
What a baller!
So yeah, I'm actually really excited about this. I've heard mixed reviews for J. Henry, but I love what they're doing. I really respect them as a distillery, and I'm hoping this is going to kill it.
So truth be told, I thought it was La Flamme. That's why I made my name La Rabba.
Hey, it counts.
I didn't.
You could be the La Rabba Llama.
No problema, La Rabba Llama.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. And a minimum of 5 years in large barrels, you can't lose. You can't lose. All right, let's give it an old swirly poo and nose it up.
As high proofed as it is, it's not really vapory at all. It's got a mild grapey sweetness.
Yep. Bourbony. It seems like a rye bourbon as opposed to a wheat bourbon, but get this, it's both. It's 4-grain, baby, and a 4-grain with wheat and rye. So some 4 grains aren't with wheat and rye.
So you said it is bourbony to you?
Yeah, like a rye bourbon.
I don't get a lot. I can kind of see the spiciness on it, but I get more just like the grapey kind of a sweetness. Not a ton of bourbony notes from me. At least.
Oh, that's too bad.
But I'm surprised though it's not vapory at that proof. So,
I mean, it's only 114-ish or 115-ish. I'm curious. I'm gonna go in for the sip myself.
This is good. Yeah, I like it.
Cool.
It hits a little, goes a little, it gets a little bitter towards the finish. But on the front end of the palate, it's really mild. It's a light sweetness. It does have like a mild, very mild peppery kind of a note to it. It comes in more on the finish. I like that though. It's very, very light, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Especially for cast strength.
Mm-hmm.
The first note I got was kind of a youthful bourbon. I wouldn't call it like a youthful small barrel type bourbon, but it didn't have a lot of age on it originally. But then it kind of faded and like smoothed into a grapey, just bourbony. I don't even want to call it caramel or vanilla, just a somewhat grapey bourbony note at the same time. And then still got a good finish. Sweet. It's definitely sweet, which
It
I
does on
dig.
the sweet side. I get a. I don't know if it's the proof and the heat on it, or it's the actual note, but I get like a light peppery spice to it. Not that
I can
pepper is
get a little bit of
spicy,
that.
but
I'm curious what this is going to taste like with water. Yeah, there is a pepperiness at the end.
got it. Yeah.
So I made a cocktail the other day. You ever heard of the Last Word cocktail?
Sounds familiar.
It's got maraschino liqueur and chartreuse green. Chartreuse green.
Yes.
And I didn't I bought a whole bottle of Luxardo, or what do you call it? Maraschino liqueur. And then I bought a whole bottle of chartreuse green, which is apparently really hard to find these days. I actually had a hard time finding it. That being said, I didn't realize how spicy both of those liqueurs are.
Really?
Like I thought maraschino liqueur would taste like really good maraschino cherries,
Maraschino.
but it was like really spicy. And same with the chartreuse green. It was like I had to taste them separately. I'm like, what does this even taste like? Because I'm not getting like a cherry flavor here. And it was, yeah, I had no idea they were both like spicy. And maybe not like, like hot pepper spicy, but they were on the verge, in my opinion. Maybe I'm
Really?
crazy. I don't know.
You might be, because I've had one down at the Mode in Boise.
Uh-huh.
Green chartreuse is actually a very interesting liqueur. I think it's made by monks, and it's like a very secretive, complicated recipe.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Nose. I definitely start getting the bourbon with the water. Like, it definitely smells more bourbon-y to me.
Uh-huh.
Light grape sweetness still.
Mm-hmm. You ever had Armagnac? I love Armagnac. Oh. Yeah. So yeah, if you have an Armagnac, especially like a XO Armagnac, try to make a Sazerac cocktail. Either that or like a cognac. Try to make a Sazerac cocktail with that, and you will not be let down. It definitely beats a rye Sazerac, in my humble opinion. And I love a good rye Sazerac. What do you think?
I don't know if it was because I was trying to be dumb and talk when I was had
More
the whiskey in my
vapory.
mouth. It feels a lot hotter, like I'm getting a little bit of burn with the water. Definitely lean more towards bourbon, like a traditional kind of bourbon notes, but not like, it's not heavy at all in that.
Uh-huh.
But like the burn and the pepper, like the pepper is more pronounced for sure. So
On the nose, I'm getting a grapey youthfulness that I was getting before, but it's a little more pronounced.
you and I kind of swapped the nose notes. Yeah, I got more bourbony. You got more grapey. Grapey.
I'm not loving the palate with a little bit of water.
Did
it just tastes too young to me? It's not well developed age in this bourbon yet, even though it's a 5-year. And a 5 year is nothing to shake your finger at. Shake a stick at? Shake your stick finger at? Shake your finger stick at?
Shake a stick at.
Okay, cool.
Right? I don't know.
Bat an eyelash at? Bat a baseball at? Bat a baseball stick at. Eyelash at?
Stick and hoop.
Baseball bat?
Alley oop.
Yeah. We know sports. Huh. Yeah, I don't know if it's
the shows I watch.
Fan, but
you used to always see shows where kids were playing with hoop and stick.
Hoop and stick. Those were the days.
Let's go back to
the old hoop and stick days.
Get off your X station. Go get your hoopins and sticks out. What's going on with the children these days?
Is that from something?
Fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole. I'm going to grab an ice myself.
Oy. Oh man. I feel like
Yeah,
so
but
here's
I think it's just a little young. I wish it were a few years older.
here's the thing. I was so excited to record this week, and right now I can't think of a single thing I wanted to
Single
say to you.
thing.
Like I was all like, I just wanted to talk to you and hang out with you earlier this week.
Yeah,
Now I'm just
we're
like,
doing
I'm
it.
drawing a blank. We are.
We're
But I
doing
just
it.
like, I can't remember a single thing I wanted to say to you. Ooh, Barracuda.
Barracuda. I don't think it improved with the ice.
I thought I kind of with the water. I appreciated the neat better because I do like a good grape nose.
Yeah.
And the grape is more pronounced with the ice right now, which I approve of, but it's definitely lighter. Ooh,
No, it's not bitter.
Starting to get like
It's too
kind
young.
of
But
corn notes on it. But I
that
did
being
just
said,
burp.
the cough is coming on. That being said, I think this is it's good. I'm really happy they didn't do like small barrels or something like that. And they're going 5 years minimum on all their products, and they're using large barrels. That being said, I don't love this, and I think I wish it were a little older. I think the Armagnac finish,
taller.
Yeah,
Wish
I was a baller. Yeah,
I wish I had a girl who looked good. I do, and I call her.
Yeah, you do. Call her all the time. You say, "Hey, where are the kids?" Yeah.
You know what's funny?
Uh-huh.
Like the longer you're in your relationship, like Chelsea and I talk less on the phone the longer we're in a relationship, which I think makes sense. But it's just kind of odd to me. Like phone calls that I have that are long are typically not with her. You would think they would be, right?
Yeah,
like,
but you don't need to. Like the long conversations come with catching up sometimes.
True.
And you're already caught up on her. You know, it's not a bad.
I caught her.
Yeah, you caught her good. Hey, you did, man. Caught a wild Chelsea.
She was. She is.
Was she?
Yeah. And well, I'm not like wild, like
yeah. No, but you know,
but she was not.
She was a good catch.
I could see Chelsea if we hadn't gotten married, just being happy and single and just not.
I think that too about Heather sometimes. Down. I'm like, you'd be better off without me sometimes.
Do you really think that?
Sometimes I just think she would be fine without me. Like she'd just be good.
Yeah, I would not be without Chelsea. That's the thing. I think that too. I like if I like.
Oh no! The other way around would never. I'd die before she did. Like, yeah.
That's the thing is like if there is a life and death situation, like one of us got to die.
Oh, I'd take the way.
It's
out.
me. It's me. I'm gone. Like she'll be fine without me. Like even like I look like pay wise, I'm like the kids would be a lot better off if I die and Chelsea lives. Right? Like Chelsea dies. I don't think I got to move in with my mom. Like my pay is and her life insurance is not going to keep
3 kids.
Yeah. Enough. I like the ice. I like it.
Okay.
I like it on the finish best. It does not have that little bitterness to it, but I do get a lot more of like a bourbony corn kind of a peanutty flavor to it. The pepper is not as pronounced. I like the palate on the ice best, minus the front end on the neat. The neat, it felt very thin and light for being a little higher proofed.
Yeah.
So I like this. I do. And I'll go with your gut, Mr. Made it to the quarterfinals because maybe a little more age would be nice.
Yeah, a little more age, in my opinion. I think I've had a lot worse. When I say like it needs a little more age, I've had a lot worse. This isn't that bad. It's good, but I think I'm formulating my rating now. Yeah, I got a rating.
Okay.
6.5.
Oh, okay.
I like I said, I don't hate it. I just wish it had a little more age, a little more character. I'm surprised it doesn't, to be honest. 5 years is plenty in most cases, but for some reason, this just tastes young. And like I said, I've had bourbons that are 4 years old that are great. But for some reason, this just seems young.
Not floating the
The
boat.
oak development isn't there. Maybe what happened was the Armagnac cask kind of like pulled it back in a weird, sweet way.
You are an oak sweet spot, aren't you? You don't like too much oak. You don't like right now. You're saying like the oak isn't there, so there must be like a Cole sweet spot. I bet like Heather knows the Cole sweet spot.
Young. So it's probably the case that there is a sweet spot, but I think the oak is different when it's under this, or like when it's in this young range. So there is probably a middle ground. But then again, I've had like 17 to 20-year-old whiskeys that are amazing when they're not yet over oaked. I've had 20+ year whiskeys that are amazing that aren't over oaked. It's weird, but yeah, I think sweet spot would probably fit me. So 6.5.
We're pretty close. I'm at just a solid 7. I like it. It's got some things in it that it's got some good things going for it. Yeah. But it's not blow your mind. It's just it's good. It's all right. I wouldn't turn it down.
What they're doing. I'm hoping that in the future, when we try the Patton Road single barrel proof, that we'll be blown away.
We need to start drinking.
I like what they're doing. And they're really setting a standard, in my opinion. So, like, if you find a bottle, go grab it. If you don't like a little youthful one, maybe skip the La Flamme. But it's really hard to find, apparently, because they haven't put out a second batch, so far as I've seen.
La 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 Flamme. It's Cinco de Mayo. Maybe that's why I was thinking. La 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 Flamme.
Who sings that? I was about to say Lou Diamond Phillips, but he's in that movie. Yeah, he doesn't sing that.
Something Richie. His name Richie Valens. Boom. Nailed it.
Oh, nice. Nailed it.
Yep.
La, 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 bamba.
I just remember because he's like, Richie.
Oh, nice. Is the movie with Lou Diamond Phillips about him?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
I like Lou Diamond Phillips. I like saying his name.
I feel like he's on like some like Law and Order type procedural cop lawyer thingy.
Yeah. Back in the day, him and Kiefer Sutherland were like the dynamic duo, you know.
What was the Lou Diamond Phillips where he was like a teacher or a student?
No, it was a student. It was a Stand and Deliver. And he's like,
Deliver.
What's calculus? Love that movie.
That's what I want to watch again. I remember liking that.
You should, as a teacher. You really should. Jaime Escalante.
Teacher movies are interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I mean, I don't know. You want to be able to like really like get to a kid.
Yeah.
And you can get to like a third of them if you're good.
Yeah.
But man, you can't like just turn. I don't know. I can't. I'm not that kind of teacher.
He had a small class.
I do. But I just think in those situations.
You could be Jaime Escalante. You could be Robby Escalante.
La Rabba.
Yeah. La Rabba. So anyway.
How many of my students would be like, ooh, or this is I don't know about
anyway.
La Rabba. La Rabba La Flama. He drinks whiskey. He drinks whiskey. He drinks whiskey.
Whiskey girl. I guess that means it's time for Whiskey World News.
All right, and we're back. This one comes from the Washington Post, written by Allison Robatelli.
Ooh.
I seem like the Rob Report, Robatelli. I just get Rob stuff in Whiskey World News because that's the way I la Rabba. It's titled The 4 Best The 4 Best Non-Alcoholic Whiskeys for Sipping and Mixing. Whiskey is a serious drink made for serious occasions.
Ooh, and serious people.
You know shut up! You shut up when I'm reading Whiskey World News. Sure, you could ask it to do its job with some compatriots in a Manhattan or an Old Fashioned, but those are rather serious cocktails themselves, aren't they?
Super serious.
Sazeracs, Rob Roy's. These are the sort of beverages that have gravitas. Even an Irish coffee dolloped with a pillowy whipped cream gives off the vibe you're not taking any guff, not even I don't know about that. Robicelli, where are you going here? A good whiskey should have hints of oakiness, like Cole says, the perfect amount. Not too much, not too little.
Just the right
Little
Goldilocks.
Goldilocks over there.
Yeah.
And finished with vanilla caramel and stone fruit, like black cherries, says Bob Simcoe, whiskey connoisseur of director of our bar in Baltimore. That's more complexity than what many non-alcoholic spirits, whiskey or otherwise, are able to deliver. And what's the point of drinking faux whiskey if you can't drink 3 fingers of it in a cut crystal rocks glass? A Waterford, you may say. In the world of zero proof spirits, non-alcoholic whiskeys have to work twice as hard to be successful or be taken seriously. No one is spending an upward of $40 a bottle for a whiskey-ish liquid that needs to be drowned in cola to be palatable. If a non-alcoholic whiskey doesn't make you want to slip into the smoking jacket, settle into a tufted wingback chair, and put it up your butt and chug it, and relax in front of a crackling fire, it's simply doing it wrong. There's no single tried and true way to produce non-alcoholic spirits. Every brand has its own, often special proprietary blends, processes. Process that just because of zero proof spirits company can bottle up a convincing rum or tequila alternative doesn't mean its methods make a palatable whiskey. It's been more than 8 years since I've tasted whiskey, and when you sipped them more than 8 years since I've tasted whiskey, and when you've sipped as much whiskey as I have, hence the sobriety. Oh, makes sense now. Good job, Robert. It's not a flavor you can easily forget, or one you're willing to compromise.
Poor girl.
Of the many non-alcoholic whiskeys I've tasted, almost all have needed a serious handicap to beat. At best, enjoyed, or at worst, choked down. But the ones that have succeeded, they've tasted like sorcery. That will leave you wondering how on earth they exist in the first place. And I'll get into her 4 whiskeys here.
Okay.
But Cole, have you ever had a non-alcoholic whiskey?
I have, and it was very much a letdown.
Okay. All right. Well, she says one that's better than that is number 1, Spiritless Kentucky 74.
Okay.
It's $30. And is it by magic this quaff delivers everything there is to love about whiskey, but without the booze or harsh burning sensation?
Okay.
I won't get into the stuff. The other one she says is NKD LDY, which I think is Naked Lady.
Naked Lady.
It's a reverse distilled from a real Kentucky bourbon.
Nice.
Has some of the top lines of the notes you're expecting: vanilla, oak, and toffee. And it goes for $35.
Okay.
Monday is the next one. Unlike Monday's superlative zero proof gin, which is convincing enough to be enjoyed neat, the company's entry into the whiskey category is best enjoyed in the cocktail that highlights its strong flavors of caramel with something like a smoke. And one of mixed with a touch of non-alcoholic vermouth and 1 or 2 fancy cherries, and you got yourself a highly respectable Manhattan, $45. Nice. And the last one she says is cut above. It's $35, and this brand new entry in the non-alcoholic whiskey category tastes like butter pecan ice cream that she grew up with. Nice. Anyway, I'll stop there. But Cole, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, totally. I'm a big fan of those options, especially because my wife is pregnant, and I would love to make her, an old fashioned or something. But out of all the options that I tasted, which none of those were on that list, I've had other options that were just lackluster and watered down, and so I would actually love to check those out online and maybe pick one of those up. Because my wife, she can't drink, and sometimes you just don't want to drink. And during like dry January or something, you can still enjoy something. It just doesn't need to be alcohol. So I'm intrigued, and I'm actually going to look those up individually because I do like to have something like that on hand at the bar. And like I said, I'm glad she has an opinion that's not the ones that I've had. Because if she mentioned any of the ones that I've had, I'd be like, credibility lost.
Where do you find a non-alcoholic whiskey?
Total Wine has a good amount. There's something called like Seedling or something like that. I might be wrong, but it's Seed something that I've tried, and maybe one other. But usually you'll find more options in like gin or tequila or something like that. Whiskey is a little harder or like bourbon is a little harder. But I'm there. I'm gonna make it happen. So
I like it too. Like I love tasting whiskey, and if something tastes like whiskey, but it's like a time where I shouldn't be drinking, or don't need
in the morning,
I mean, honestly,
in the morning, just
that's
drink
a good point.
Non-alcoholic things. Yeah.
Well, there's some days you're like,
I can go for a drink.
So like, here's the thing: when you walk by where your whiskey's at, you kind of go, oh, I kind of want to taste, but it might be the morning. you get that
Yeah.
hankering sometimes, or
Might
like
be 6
I don't know.
a.m.
Yeah, it could be. I don't call you. I feel like you're treating me like I'm some sort of out of control.
I think you're being like a little extra sensitive, Robbie, because I'm feeling the same way.
But there's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you just you don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't need to get buzzed. You just want to taste the whiskey.
Yeah.
Like there's times where I'll just go by and I'll sniff the bottles because you know what?
Yeah.
Well, I open the bottle. I don't like put glass up to my nose.
Yeah. You can't
just,
smell through the
you wanna have
glass.
something. So there's just sometimes I would like that. And I would definitely check some of these out.
That's cool.
For shizzle.
I dig that.
All right. Should we move it on?
I guess so. And the next segment of the show that we like to call What Whiskey Would You Choose? We got last week's results. Check them out.
We do. Although there's a little problem with last week's results. For some reason, sometimes when I post stuff,
You did it twice.
It came up twice. So I hope I don't miss
or whatever. Yeah.
I think there was one of the posts that I think it got most of both the posts in one, except for there was a few anyway, if we miss what you said, I'm sorry. It's because it's Instagram's fault. Mm-hmm. Call them at their corporate offices. Last week we said, what's your white whale whiskey? Cole said Stag, although he bagged.
That's what I wanted to mention. In the last week, I found a Stag batch 19, and I am so excited because I broke the curse.
There you go.
I said 8-year curse.
I said Yamazaki, Yamazaki 12, and Cole 1, 79-21, which I understand. Nice. Like a lot of our listeners are probably more bourbony.
Yeah.
Let's see, Miles Ferguson killed a 518. Tomatin, Cuboken, and Cole scored it for him. That might be a theme.
You see the Yam 12 behind me?
You son of a
anyway. It's empty, so that's the sad news.
What is it? Just got a full bottle behind it, or some apple juice in it?
It's a tinted glass, so you never know.
Oh, full disclosure, for one of our episode picks, we have a bottle of a whiskey bottle with apple juice in it. Do you know which one that is, Cole?
For yours?
It's from one of our podcast episodes. The picture we used on Instagram.
Oh, was it Bland's?
Nope.
What was it?
Had the bottle, but we put apple juice and a little bit of I
forget cranberry. I remember you doing that, but I totally forget it.
It was the Bespoken because we.
Hey, look at you! You remembered.
I remembered some. That's because I did it, and I dumped it out. And you're like, "Do you have a picture?" I'm like, "You didn't get a picture."
No, I handed it right off.
Oh man! So yeah, I got the bottle out of the trash, and I put some apple juice and a little bit of cranberry juice in there for color. Dramhound Eagle Rare 17.
Oh, Dramhound, you know my heart. That was
Cole's first.
That's a white whale for me too. And son of a gun, Brian Rapp won one on a lottery recently.
Nice. I didn't know that. Was that deep in a message?
Love the guy.
You guys write novels to each other. You guys are like World War II era, like lovers sending letters across the sea.
Yeah.
They're long and I can't keep up.
Even right before this podcast, I was hitting them up.
Okay. Brotasca Espinosa, our Canadian trail friend, and he BTAC, but he gets a Stag Junior every third year. Cool.
Yeah.
Bryce Marita.
Speaking of which, real quick, Virginia just did their lottery for the BTAC, excluding for some reason a Rare 17. So there's all the rest. But I put in 32 entries of friends and family. And I'll find out probably by the next episode, I'll know if I won one bottle. But I did the math.
Got a lottery I got to put in for too.
Oh yeah, you should do that. Yeah, but I did the math, and I have probably around a 57% chance of winning at least one bottle.
Nice.
So that's good odds when you actually do that math. So I have a chance of winning at least one. So
nice. Bryce Marita. Until recently, it was Elmer T. Lee. Not now. Because Cole bought him a bottle, so now he's not sure what to go after. DJ Rockfleur, 1981.
Bottle, so.
Oh, did he win one too?
Yeah, it was the Christmas episode. He won it.
Oh, that's right. Well, didn't you give him a bottle?
Which was amazing because I wanted him to win that one.
Didn't you previously give him a bottle of Elmer T. Lee?
No, I gave another friend a bottle of Elmer T. Lee, which he dropped on his way out of his honeymoon to his home.
Sad.
Sad. Trent. Sad.
DJ Rockefeller 1981 never seems to get Weller foolproof when it's in stock.
Nice.
Paul Clarkson EHT single barrel.
Nice.
The Bourbon Badger OWA 107.
Old Weller Antique.
Okay. Oh, yes. I love Old Weller Antique, and I can't get another bottle. Mark Onese, Russell Reserve 13. Embellished Pod, a Dusky Turkey at a reasonable price. The Smoked Nook Wild Turkey 12-year. Cheesy gold foil from his birth year.
So, John Hughes. I got an 87 375 of Wild Turkey 101. It's not like the year you were mentioning, but I hope to share that with you one day. So if you ever fly out to Virginia, we're having it together. Or we'll just do a meetup soon for Chill Filtered and we'll drink it together.
Sounds good. All right,
That's what I gotta say. 87, baby.
All right. So
I haven't cracked it yet. Anyway, go ahead.
I recently, in a Facebook group, someone posted 4 questions, and I thought, you know what? I like these 4 questions.
Nice.
For what whiskey would you choose? Now, the first one is one we've already used.
Okay.
But I think let's go refresh because things change. So the first, this week's what whiskey would you choose? What is your daily drinker? What do you have on the shelf that you're like, you know what? I'll open it up, have it any time of day.
I got it
Not
right
any
here.
time of day, anytime I want just something. What do you got, Cole?
You want to guess my answer?
Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace. Total daily drinker. Even better, like not even better, but like more accessible than Eagle Rare to me. I just love this bottle is a 750, but I have a 1.75 liter that I just fill this up whenever because I don't like pouring from 170 or 1.75, so I'll just like fill this one up for
Makes
that one.
Makes you feel like you have small hands. I get it.
Yeah.
Mine, Old Granddad Bonded. It's
nice.
Inexpensive and it does the trick. I like it.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay.
I like that.
Well, we'll put that up on Wednesday. What are we going to put up on Tuesday, Cole?
Drinkers is.
What are we putting up on Tuesday? What are we?
Oh, good question. So I'm going to do what we did 2 weeks ago, but it's going to be in the rye department this week.
Perfect.
I'm going to put up a list, and I want people to please let us know what on the list they want to do, and then I'll put 2 against each other that got the most votes.
Sounds good. All right.
Yeah, but it'll be in the rye department.
Well, Cole, I hope that when we're done with this, you get the best snuggles and the best giggles out of that little girl of yours.
Can't wait. And I hope that Amara kills it today. Hope she just straight up kills it.
And Cole, I'm sad that it's come to an end, but next year, I hope that next year we both get a little madness time. Yeah. But most of all, listeners, I hope our love of whiskey lifted your spirits. I was so excited to record this week, and right now, I can't think of a single thing.